also is diminishing now. So this is going to cause a huge problem if we are not able to feed the population globally. So people are looking out for newer techniques, newer places to grow food. Also, there is this big issue along with food security. This other big issue that is facing us is climate change. Because of climate, growing food is becoming an issue. Environmental issues are cropping up. So all this combined together has led man to look out for newer options to grow food. So hydroponics was one solution to these major problems that humanity is now facing. So just to understand what is hydroponics. Hydroponics is nothing, and in other words, can be called as soilless technology, because when I said that soil is losing its fertility and cannot be used to grow food, there are times where the soil has reached a point of no return. That means even with whatever amendments that you can do, you cannot reclaim the soil back to its, forget the original fertility, even to make it good enough or fit enough for cultivation. Also in cities, as we know now, a lot of green spaces are converted into concrete jungles. So you need to look out for spaces within these concrete jungles where you can use, which you can use to grow food. So with hydroponics, you can actually utilize these spaces like balconies, or you can even use some city areas or some wastelands which does not have soil to grow food. Um, okay, just to understand about the technique, what is soil? We were talking of soilless. So before we understand soilless, let us understand what is soil. Layman terms, I'm not getting into the chemistry and physics of soil, but just in layman terms, soil is nothing but the surface material which is there on the crust of the earth. Okay. It consists of inorganic particles, organic matter. All of this together constitutes the soil. But why are we interested in the soil? We are looking at soil from the context of growing crops. So to crops, the soil is important. Why? Because it provides structural support. When you plant a seed and when a plant grows vertically, it is the soil that holds the roots together. If the soil does not provide the support, the plant will not be able to stand erect. And second is, it's a source of water and nutrients. So if we have to feed the plant, what we do is water the roots or add fertilizers or add nutrition to the roots or that which is in the soil. So these are the two main functions that soil does in context of growing plants. One is it is providing support, and second is it is providing water and nutrients to it. Now, if you remove soil from the growth cycle of a crop, but see to it that these two functions are done, you can still grow plants. That's what hydroponics is all about. Now, along with soil, there are various other requirements for growing crops. One is water. One is where you are planting it, whether you are planting it in a adequately sufficiently large pot or small pot, whether you're giving it the right food or the right nutrients, whether the temperature is suited for that particular crop, whether there is ample amount of sunlight. Time also means season, whether the season is suitable for that particular crop group. So these are mandatory requirements. All these requirements of water, time, air, light, temperature, food, etc. does not change whether you grow the plant in the soil or you grow it without the soil. So all these are mandatory requirements. Okay. Now, as I told you, if you can carry out the two important function that soil does in context of plants, you can very well grow. Now, coming to each and every parameter, let's compare it within the soil and soilless system. Now, when you are growing plants in soil, the source of light is the sunlight. Okay. When you are growing plants in hydroponics, you can use sunlight. Yes, you can use sunlight. Can you use any kind of artificial light? Yes, you can very well use artificial light. So that is where you can, so that is how you can use spaces which do not get sunlight also to grow your own. So light, yes, sunlight or artificial light in hydroponics. Temperature, the regular temperature which is of the season as per plant need. Food, you need food when you grow in soil? Yes. Do you need food when you grow in plant? When you grow soilless? Yes. And they are in terms of major and minor nutrients. I'll give you an idea about these nutrients as we go ahead. Room to grow means the kind of pot or the kind of container or the kind of bed that you are using it to grow. So for example, you cannot grow tomato plant in a small pot. You need a sufficiently large pot for its root to spread. It's a long plant. Similarly, you don't need to employ a very big pot to grow something like leafy vegetables. You can do with narrow bottomed containers also. Okay, so it could be either in the shape of a bed, in the field, in the pot, or in case of soilless, you also have certain systems that are developed which can help you to grow your food. Water is a mandatory requirement whether you are growing in soil or whether you are growing soilless, and you provide it as needed by the plant. Now let's start with hydroponics. Now that was the general requirement for growing plant, whether in soil or whether you grow it soilless. Now to understand hydroponics, start by asking three questions. What is hydroponics? Why are people, I have sort of indirectly answered why hydroponics, and how do you do it? So to understand hydroponics, nowadays it's a big concept, but it's nothing but an alternate growing technique. It's not a miracle. If you understand the art and science of growing plants, you can utilize it in hydroponics or you can utilize it in soil as well. Whether you, as I told you, whether you are growing plants in soil or whether you are growing plants soilless, the basic plant requirements in terms of temperature, light, water, food, will remain the same. That does not change. Plant does not understand that you're growing it hydroponically or you're growing it in the soil. And major question that is normally asked is whether hydroponics can be certified as organic. No, hydroponics is not organic. It is residue free is definitely something that you can say, because the technique is developed in such a way that you are providing maximum nutrients as per the plant needs, and the plant is utilizing hello and the plant is utilizing those nutrients to the maximum. Okay, and hydroponics is not magic. As I told you, if you understand the concept, you can very well use it in hydroponics. So just a simple history, some very small summaries, that it's not a recent or a newly developed technique. It's just employed on a wider scale recently. It was always being followed. Okay, so you have the Aztecs floating gardens, you have the hanging gardens. It was as early as 1627 where something related to horticulture experiments was published. In fact, in the year 1937, the word hydroponics was coined, and hydroponics means working with water or flowing water. Okay. So in India, it was started as early as 1946. In 60s and 70s, the commercial hydroponic farms, especially in regions where soil was never available, had already started. Okay, in fact, even at NASA, when you have space, this satellites being launched and all, where you have humans growing, they grow food hydroponically only. Now, the next big question that you need to understand. Basically, we have answered what is hydroponics. It's nothing but an alternate growing technique. It's not magic. It's not organic. It is working with flowing water. Okay. Now, why do you think people, or why was this technique adopted so rampantly? One is the nutrient uptake is improved. Why? Because as I told you, you give the plant exactly what it needs. Second thing is 70% of the diseases that are there in crop plants are soil borne. It comes from the soil. There are these organisms in the soil which cause a lot of diseases in the plant. So if you eliminate soil, you can consider that 70% of the diseases of the crops you have eliminated. Still, it does not mean that your hydroponically grown plants do not suffer from any kind of disease. It does if you do not maintain the conditions that are required. But 70% of soil-borne diseases can be eliminated. Third thing is you can control the system and you can automate the system. We all talk of AI, big data, data analytics, robotics, sensors, automations, digitization. Anything that you talk of today can be done in a hydroponic system. You can maintain your entire farm on using a mobile app. You can time your sowing, your harvesting schedules. You can operate your systems by not being physically present on the farm. All that is possible in hydroponics. So you can very well control and automate your system. Maximized growing space. As I told you, space is a major constraint. We do not have green pastures, green areas, fertile soils. We are looking out for spaces in concrete jungles. Okay, so how much of space will you get to grow food to feed a population? So in hydroponics, one thing is you can grow vertically, which was not being practiced in soil cultivation. Growing vertically, you can utilize the same space 3x. So if you have like a 100 square meter by 100 square meter, imagine if you have 3 to 5 tiers vertical, the same space you have doubled, or you have multiplied your production by 3x or 5x. So that is what you mean by maximizing the growing space. Less nutrient loss. Soil is a very complex system. And it's not only what you add in the soil. There are certain things which are already there in the soil. There is an entire biodiversity that's present in the soil. And there are a lot of chemical reactions that take place in the soil. Those reactions could be beneficial for plant growth. Some could be detrimental as well. Sometimes where you add nutrients and the nutrients chemically react with other components in the soil, or they get washed off with rain, or they, reach depths where the roots cannot reach. That leads, all of this will lead to nutrient loss. Whatever nutrient you added, it has been lost because it is not being able to be utilized by the plant. But in hydroponics, all this does not happen. You do not have soil, and you are giving the plants readily available nutrients right near the root zone, which you can be, ensure that the nutrients will be taken up. Hence, you have less nutrient loss. Stable and high yields. Why? Because you can automate your system, you can control it, you can give the plants the exact nutrients that it needs, and all of this will lead to faster growth. You can even control the humidity and the temperature of your growing area if you have like a greenhouse. So all this will lead to faster growth. So these are some of the reasons as to why people are practicing hydroponics. These are the technical factors. Other general factors I already discussed. You have the scarcity of space. You have soil which has lost its fertility, cannot be reclaimed. You also have a lot of environmental issues. You have your carbon footprint. You have food which is being transported across miles, leading to a lot of pollution also. So these were other environmental issues that actually led to the development of this alternate technique. Now, coming to the last question, how do you do hydroponics? We've understood what is hydroponics as a technique, and why do you need, or why is it gaining so much of momentum and popularity in recent years? Now, to understand how do you do it? Now, to understand how do you do hydroponics, there are two basic methods. One is entirely water-based. Okay. So the function of soil, which is of providing the nutrients, is done by the water. Even in soil, when you're growing plants in soil, whenever you are adding fertilizer, which is nothing but plant food, you have to dissolve it in water and add. Similar thing is what you're doing in hydroponics. You have to give, the system is entirely water-based, or there is another method of doing it, which is substrate-based. What is a substrate? We'll understand. Now coming to water-based system. Now these are systems, how they look, and I have taken pictures of very crude systems which you can also practice at home, do at home, and then commercialize as well. So if you see Kratky, this is one of the oldest kind of a hydroponic system where you have the plant root dipping in the nutrient solution. Nutrient solution, though I call it water, the water is not plain water. The water has nutrients in it as per the plant need. And the root of the plant is only dipping in the system. DWC stands for deep water culture. Okay. So both the systems are similar looking, except in Kratky, you do not change the nutrient solution at all. Next system is the Dutch bucket system. Now, in the Dutch bucket system, if you see, the name comes because these buckets were sort of invented or designed in Holland, and that is why it's called as a Dutch bucket system. Here also you have the plant. So here what you have is a circulating nutrient solution, which will water the roots at regular intervals. Excess nutrient solution is collected and then comes back to the main tank. So it means you are circulating the water. Saving water or conservation of water also is one of the advantages of hydroponics because of circulating systems. Third is, this is the most popular commercial kind of a system. Dutch buckets are also popular commercial for commercial growing. NFT stands for nutrient film technique. This is very similar to Dutch bucket. Here also you have plants which are grown in channels, and you have the nutrient solution which is circulated through these channels, and the excess nutrient solution will come back to the main tank. So basically you have a cyclic flow of nutrient solution within the system, and that is why you conserve water. And last is the ebb and flow. Ebb and flow is nothing but wherein you flood the growing tank with water and release all the water at once. So here also you have water which is being circulated or water which is being collected, and you can reuse the same nutrient solution again. So these are the basic. Ebb and flow is largely used in nurseries when you are developing saplings, or when you are sort of the plant is in the very first stage of germination. That is where you use ebb and flow. Dutch bucket and NFT can be used for an entire crop cycle. So other word for water-based system are circulating hydroponic systems or active hydroponic systems. Active because the nutrient solution circulates through the system and is collected back in the main tank again. Now, second type of a system is nothing but substrate-based system, which is very similar in look and feel to the soil system. If you see here, you will feel that you are growing in soil, but no, you are not using soil. You are using inert substrate. Inert is because the substrate will not add on to the fertility, or it will not provide any kind of nutrition by itself. Whatever nutrition is being provided is what you add. So you can grow them in trough. You see these continuous black bags, they are called as troughs, or you can use grow bags, or you can use these long trays. And this is what I mean by maximizing the space. If you see the picture on the right, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 tiers. So in the same area, you have actually multiplied it by 4x. So this is what you mean by maximizing the growing space. Now, to give you certain examples of substrates, in India, largely we are using coco peat. It's nothing used to grow plants. You also have perlite, you have vermiculite, you have rock wool, but in India, largely we have coco peat based growing systems. Now, substrate-based systems are also called as non-circulating. Why? Because this is similar to soil. Once you water, once you add the nutrient, you are not collecting the excess solution again. It is just going to waste. It is open to drain. So it is known as non-circulating, or it is also called as passive. So you have water-based systems, which are circulating systems and active systems, and you have substrate-based systems, which are called as passive systems. Now, in water-based systems, largely for NFT, you use them only for growing leafy vegetables like your lettuce, your pak choy, or rocket, celery, parsley, etc., thyme, rosemary, all these kind of exotic herbs, or even indigenous herbs like palak or spinach, methi, or coriander, you can use to grow these also. Now, understanding how you're going to do hydroponics, that you've understood the kind of system. Now, let's understand the working of the system. Now, as I told you, nutrients are very important in hydroponics. Why in hydroponics? In plant growth. Now, to understand the plant food. Now, why is hydroponics getting an edge over soil growing? So basically in hydroponics, what you do is you give the plant exactly what it needs, when it needs, and in the amount that it needs. Now, to understand this, I'll just give you a general introduction to crops. You have 4 stages in crop growth. Okay. Like you have the germination stage, you have the vegetative stage, You have the flowering stage and you have the fruiting stage. Because you're talking of edible plants, you're talking of food crops, you're talking of food, all these four stages will be there. So the germination stage is exactly like your baby. You know how you have humans, we have the baby. When the baby is born, what does it need? Just milk. Mother's milk is sufficient. You don't give it any outside food. Similarly, when you have to germinate a seed, you just give it water, darkness, and warmth. Means water, darkness, moisture, and warmth. It will germinate. You don't have to add any nutrients. Then, as the plant germinates, once it has germinated, once the true leaves have come out, that is when you slowly start introducing the nutrients. Similar to how you have a baby turning into an infant to a toddler. How the nutritional requirements change. Similarly, when a plant is growing or when it is getting more complex, the nutrition requirement will change. It sounds complicated, but once you understand it, you have to play with the same nutrients. That's it. So from the vegetative stage, vegetative is where only leaves are growing, okay, where the plant is only growing or developing more leaves. Okay, more leaves means more photosynthesis. More photosynthesis means more energy, more food in the plant, and it will flower nicely. So once the plant starts to flower, it is something like your teenagers or your adolescent stages, you know. So flowering stage is the reproductive stages in the plant. So once the plant starts to flower, you have the nutritional requirements which will change a little. And the flower will turn into the fruit. So the fruiting, to maintain the quality of the fruit, you have to add some different nutrients. So in hydroponics, at every growing stage, you give the plant what it needs and in the amount that it needs. And because you give it very near the root, there is no nutrient wastage. All the nutrient that you are adding, the plant takes up for its growth, and hence the yield is better. Another important point to notice, hydroponics is all about healthy roots. So if the roots are healthy, the uptake is going to be better. It's something like your gut. The more cleaner and healthier your gut, the more absorption of food and nutrients will take place. So similarly in hydroponics, everything, the entire focus is on healthy roots, white roots. White roots are those roots in the plant that is going to absorb nutrients. Okay. So 20% of the roots are absorbing, 80% are anchoring also. Now they are more vigorous. That is, the plant growth in hydroponics is more vigorous because they do not waste energy to go in search of nutrients. So when you grow plants in soil, wherever you water, wherever you add, it may so happen that the nutrient is little away from the root. The roots have to go in search of nutrients. So the growing or going in search of nutrients needs energy. In hydroponics, this does not happen because you have a continuous supply of nutrients, and hence all this energy is conserved, and this energy the plant channelizes into production. Now, coming to talk of nutrients, you have, say, basically 16 nutrients, 16 nutrients that are needed by any crop in this world for its growth. And these 16 nutrients are called as essential nutrients. So if any one of the nutrients is not there from these 16, the crop health is not going to be good. It is going to show some deficiency. The yield is going to be affected. So there are 16 essential nutrients for any kind of crop and grown in any kind of system in the world. Now you have amongst the 16, the carbon, C, H and O stands for carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, which basically you get from atmosphere and water. So carbon dioxide and water. And the other are divided into major and minor, which we give or which we call as plant food, which we have to give the plant. Now, macro means they are needed in larger amounts. Micro means they are needed in smaller amounts. So you have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which is needed in higher amounts. And you have calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. Ca stands for calcium, Mg is magnesium, S is sulfur. These are needed in lesser amounts as compared to NPK, but higher amounts as compared to the micronutrients. And there are these 6 micronutrients which are absolutely essential. So you have 6 major and 6 minor. 12 of these together are called as essential elements or essential nutrients needed for plant growth. Now, when you talk of hydroponics, how do you give these? So CHNO we are not giving through fertilizers. They are taken from the air and water that we give. The remaining 12 nutrients can be given either as two-part solutions or three-part solutions. Two-part means A and B. If any of you have done basic hydroponics anywhere, you must have worked with either of these. So two-part means A and B. A does not mean macro and B does not mean micro. It means the solutions A and B are made as per the chemical compatibility of these nutrients. There are certain nutrients which just does not stay with one another. So these two cannot be combined in one solution. So these two-part nutrients are made in such a way that all the nutrients are happy and compatible with each other. Okay. And three-part means you give it as per stages. Again, either whether you give two-part or whether you give three-part, all these 12 have to be given compulsorily. So three-part means you give it as per the stage. You have given a mixture of the nutrients. Now, how do you monitor? How do you know that what you are giving is ideal for that particular stage of growth? So you do that by monitoring certain parameters of your nutrient solution. One parameter is called as EC, which is electrical conductivity, and second parameter is pH. Now, EC is something which gives you the amount of salt that is there, amount of fertilizer that is there in your nutrient solution. So as I told you, if the plant is germinating, you don't need any nutrients, but once it germinates, once leaves start coming, it needs some nutrients. So EC at that stage will be lower. When it starts to flower, you have to increase the EC because see, your diet increases as you grow up a little. So from a toddler to a teenager, there'll be a difference in your diet or in the amount of food that you're eating. So once the plant enters from the vegetative to the flowering stage, you have to increase the EC. Similarly, when it starts to fruit, it needs more nutrition. Again, you have to increase the EC. So in short, the EC parameter will change as per the stage of growth. pH is something that does not change. pH will ensure that whatever nutrient you are adding is taken up. So it's a parameter that will ensure that ensure the uptake of nutrients. So pH is around, ideal pH for plant growth is around 5.5 to 6.5. You have to maintain this pH across all stages of growth. So 5.5 to 6.5 is constant across all stages of growth. EC is a parameter that keeps on changing. You have to change it as the stage of growth changes. Now that this is a little technical, you have handheld instruments. Okay, so how do you measure it? It's not complicated. How you have your sugar measurement instrument, how you prick and just similarly, you have a handheld device for both EC and pH. You just have to dip it in your nutrient solution and it will give you the reading. So if your solution shows a higher EC than what is required for that particular stage, what do? Means you have added more nutrition and the EC is getting high. You do not need to give so much at that particular stage. What do? You add water and you dilute it. And suppose if you measure and the EC is low, you need to give more nutrients, say at the flowering stage, but the EC is low. So what will happen is your quality of flowers will not be good. Your plant will not be healthy. It needs more food. So you have to add more nutrients. So if you need to increase the EC, you add nutrients. If you need to decrease the EC, you add water. pH also is a handheld device. You have a device which you just dip in the water, in the nutrient solution, and it will give you the reading. So as I told you, ideal pH is around 5.5 to 6.5. Now, this is just for your information. I don't know how many of you are practicing growers or very new to growing crops, but these are all available in the markets. These are fertilizers so if you have to give, say, for example, zinc, you can give it as a zinc sulfate, you can give it as a zinc chelate. Okay, so these are the different sources of fertilizers that you can use, or you can use organic fertilizers. But in hydroponics, you are not using completely completely organic fertilizers for the entire life cycle of the crop. You can mix organic fertilizers with the inorganic elements that the plant needs to grow. Like say nitrogen is inorganic, phosphorus is inorganic, potassium is inorganic, but all the essential elements that the plant needs to grow are inorganic ions, which you have to supply. Along with that, you can use organic fertilizers like seaweed or humic products or protein hydrolysates or any kind of organic fertilizer that you use. You have Jivamrut and all, which is going to alternate with your fertilizers. But you cannot grow entirely on these organic fertilizers yet. Now, coming to nutrient uptake, this is a little technical, but it is important to understand why this uptake is better in hydroponics. Whenever you supply any nutrient to the plant will take it up in only a particular form. So even if you're adding organic nutrients, like you're adding manure or you're adding seaweed or you're adding some protein, the plant cannot take up that complex protein, that complex protein molecule as is. It needs to be broken down. Even in soil, this mechanism happens even in the soil. So the plant has the nutrient has to be broken down into very simple forms. So if you see here, these are the ionic forms of every individual nutrient that can be taken up by the plant. So even if you're giving it manure or even if you're giving it any kind of organic fertilizer, the complex molecule has to be broken into simpler forms and come to this form. So say, for example, proteins will have to be broken down into peptides, into individual amino acids, into some kind of nitrate or ammonium ions, and only then will the plant root be able to take it up. Now, in hydroponic, what happens is when you add nutrients in the water, they ionize and they are in the readily available form. They are already in the ionic form, and hence the plant root can immediately take it up. So it does not even have to wait for the nutrients to be broken into smaller pieces and then taken up. So that is the reason why in hydroponics you get better nutrient uptake and hence a better yield. Now, as I told you, why is pH important? A 5.5 to 6.5 is the range in which you have to maintain, because in this particular range, you have maximum or rather all of these nutrients that can be taken up. If your pH is very high, then you will not, the plant root will not be able to take up most of the nutrients. Or if it is very low, like if it is below 5, again, the plant root will not be able to take up the nutrients. And EC, now this is how you actually measure EC and pH. So pH also similarly you have to measure. Now, so now what you have to remember is the nutrition has to be crop specific, because as I told you, you're giving it exactly what it needs and in the amount it needs and when it needs. So whether you're using 2-part or 3-part, or whether you're using any kind of solid or liquid fertilizers, you have to be crop specific, it has to be state specific, and it has to be readily available. Another thing, remember, is when you are giving nutrients in hydroponics, they have to be 100% water soluble. And you have to give it in the right proportion. So say, for example, you have these kind of NPK grades also available, which you use in hydroponics. Now, these are all available grades which are used in hydroponics, okay, other than the 2-part and 3-part. So you have some nutrients even in the powder form, which you can use. So liquid formulations can be either as in the form of solution A or solution B. Now, in hydroponics, you have ready to use nutrients, maximum space utilization, and it's an environment friendly technique, because also water conservation is another important parameter. Now, where can you use hydroponics? For growing food, yes, it was ideally developed for growing foods, but remember, the variety of food that you can grow in hydroponics as of now currently is limited. You can grow your leafies. You can grow certain kinds of fruiting plants. You can grow tomatoes. You can grow cucumbers. You can grow brinjals. You can grow strawberries. So all these you can grow. You can grow beans. You can grow gourds. All these things can be grown. We have yet not grown grains and fruit trees in hydroponics. Okay, so the variety of food that is grown hydroponically as of now is still limited. And where you can grow them in cities, open spaces, indoors. Why indoors and how indoors? Because as I told you, you can use artificial LED lights, which mimic the wavelength or which mimic the photosynthetic wavelength, and hence the plant can be grown indoors. And you can grow them in polyhouses. You can use hydroponics for raising saplings. Ebb and flow system, if you remember, I had said can be used in nurseries or when you are germinating or raising saplings. That can be used in nurseries. You can use it for growing medicinal herbs. Okay. If you are interested in any particular secondary metabolite, or if you want to enhance any active ingredient and you need to give it certain kind of stress. So in stress condition, the plant responsibility to increase certain active ingredient, you can use it for that as well. And you can definitely use it for growing flowers in substrate based systems. So whether you're using it for edible flowers or for aesthetic flowers or commercial. Now, these are some pictures that will help you to understand how at commercial level hydroponics is being practiced. So if you see on the first picture on the left hand side is a vertical tower. Okay. So this is again maximizing the space and increasing your yield. The middle picture is of, say, a nursery where you can raise saplings, and the picture on the extreme right is an indoor hydroponic farm wherein you're using grow lights. They're called as grow lights to grow particular leafy vegetables. These below, if you see, are some hobby systems. Okay, these are for your hobby, for people who want to do hydroponics as a hobby. They're not doing it at a commercial scale. But you are utilizing your terrace or balcony or even your grills. So you have small ready to use systems also where you can at least grow what you need for your own consumption. Now, you also get some common questions. I'm just trying to answer some common questions. Organic, I've already answered. Hydroponics is not organic. You can call it residue free because you maintain the other parameters that are needed to grow, you have less incidence of pest infestations and hence you use less pesticides. You don't use very complex pesticides that you normally use for soil growing, herbicides, weedicides, all we do not use. And hence you can call this produce as residue free. You do not have too much of chemicals sprayed onto these. You can use certain organic solutions like neem oil to have maintain the health of your crops. Do we use different kind of seeds in hydroponics? No, nothing is different. I told you it's just an alternate growing technique. We use the same kind of seeds that we get and we use for normal soil growing. Minimum area for commercial growing depends on your end use and depends on whether you are growing multiple crops or you're growing a single crop. But at least minimum to minimum of a 10,000 square feet, 5,000 at least, if you're catering to a smaller business, minimum 5,000 square feet area, if you are even utilizing a terrace space. Can I grow strawberries? Yes, you can grow strawberries, blueberries. Yes, but you don't expect to grow, to grow these things in say a drastic climate difference with less input. Like say, for example, if you're growing blueberries or strawberries in a desert area, and these naturally need a cooler climate, you will have to sort of provide certain cooling systems, which is going to add into your input cost. So if it fits into your cost benefit, then you can definitely do it. What is the cost of the setup? As I told you, it also depends on how much you're automating, what you're growing, where you're selling, and what are the systems that you're employing. If you're using these circulating water-based system, then the cost will be higher. If you're using substrate-based system, which is a simple trough and grow bag arrangement, your cost will be lower. So the cost totally depends on what you're growing and where you're growing, where you're going to sell. Separate nutrients, we do not have separate nutrients, though we have, say we have A and B solution, but they are not separate nutrients. Those 16 essential elements are needed by every crop at every stage. Does the plant cycle reduce? Yes, to an extent, because it is growing faster. So it reaches a good quality, especially the leafy vegetables. And yes, the quality of produce in hydroponics is very good, whether it's tomatoes or zucchini or lettuce. Yes, it's good. What about yield increase and quality? As I told you, quality is definitely good. Yield increase, yes, because you are maximizing the growing space. It's growing faster. So in soil, if you can take 3 cycles, in hydroponics, maybe you can take 4 cycles. So that is how your yield, your total yield is going to increase, and the quality also is good. So this is from my end. Now, if there are any questions, I am ready to answer questions.
Dear participant, session is open for question and answer.
You can put it in the chat box also if you want to. No, it is not possible to grow cotton. I told you, it is right now it is limited. So no, grains, fruit trees, cotton, sugarcane, all this is not still grown hydroponic. Any other questions? Palak in NFT, yes, definitely you can grow palak. You can grow all your indigenous leafy vegetables in NFT. Yes. Okay, in deep water system, basically the germination takes place outside. You know, you don't germinate it in the water system, you germinate it outside in small pots, okay, or in coco peat. And then once the seed has germinated, you can put it in the deep water system. How to prepare nutrient stock solutions? As I told you, if you are preparing, say, solution A and solution B, depending upon the compatibility of the nutrients. So largely you have solution A, which will have calcium, nitrogen, potassium, and iron. And all other nutrients will be in solution B. How much will depend on what you are growing. So your plant requirements of if your plant needs say 250 ppm of nitrogen, 180 ppm of calcium. So according to that requirement, you prepare this A and B for every crop. That's why it is said crop specific. And it's not possible for me to give you all this for every crop right now over here. So just a general idea, calcium, nitrogen, potassium, and iron is in solution A. The rest other nutrients are in solution B. Another thing is you can prepare 100 eggs. So you prepare a very concentrated stock solution and then you accordingly dilute it depending upon your tank, whatever tank that you're using, the volume of that tank, depending on that you dilute. Anything else?
Dear participants, you can unmute yourself and ask question and resolve. You resolve several queries from ma'am. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, I think there are no more questions.
Yes, ma'am. But before winding up that session,
One second. One second. Geranium farming in by. Yes, yes, you can do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Ma'am, before winding up that session, I must conclude that with the right investment and policies, that hydroponic technology can help Indian to ensure food security and sustainability. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your expertise with us. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dear participants, kindly do not leave the session. We will start our session very soon. माहित असतं नाही मला काय तर एक म्यूट करा. Good evening, dear participants. We will start our next session very shortly. Our today's next session's guest speaker is Dr. Amarendra Reddy sir, who is the Joint Director, School of Policy Support Research, ICR, National Biotic Stress Management, NIBSM, Nagpur. I will be briefly introduce sir to you. Sir completed his PhD in the discipline of agriculture economics from ICR, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. Then after he joined Agriculture Research Services, that is ARS, of Indian Council of Agriculture Research, ICR, in 2001, with first posting at Kanpur. Then Sir has published more than 100 articles in various national and international renowned journals, that is Economics and Political Weekly, Food Policy, Food Security, Manufacturing and Service Operation Management, Current Sciences, Irrigation and Drainage, Indian Journal of Agriculture Sciences, Agriculture Economic Research Review, and Indian Journal of Agriculture Economics. Sir is also reviewer for international journal like World Development, Food Policy, Journal of Decision Sciences, etc. Sir is a fellow of different profession associations, including ISPRD Kanpur. Sir is also editorial board of Sage Open, Humanities and Social Science Communication, Frontier in Agronomy, Agriculture Economic Research Review Journal of Food Laking. So I request you kindly do not leave the session. We will start our session very shortly. Good evening, sir.
Yes. Right.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
audible?
Yes, sir. Very
Okay,
good.
okay.
Okay.
I'm sharing my screen, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 1 minute. All my screens I will close. Okay.
So, good evening, sir. Good evening, dear participants. I, Dr. Snehal Datarkar, on behalf of Just Agriculture Group, so pleased to have a chance to introduce you to our guest speaker, Dr. Amarender Reddy, sir, who is in Joint Director, School of Policy Support Research, ICAR, National Biotic Stress Management, NIBSL, Raipur. Sir completed his doctorate degree from the discipline of agriculture economics from ICAR, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. Then after he joined Agriculture Research Services, ARS, of Indian Council of Agriculture Research in the year 2001, with the first posting at ICAR IIPR Kanpur. From then onwards, mostly engaged in agriculture and rural policy research, consultancy, and training in various premier institutions. He also having working hands-on experience in heading training center as he worked as director, monitoring and evaluation, and in charge director, Center for Knowledge Management, ICT, and Mass Media in Agriculture Extension at Manage, Hyderabad. Earlier, Sir worked as associate professor for public policy at Administrative Staff College of India, Hyderabad. Then as scientist at ICRISAT, Hyderabad, as senior research officer at Bankers Institute of Rural Development, Bird, Lucknow, and also as principal scientist for agriculture economics at ICAR, IRI, New Delhi. Sir also worked for a short period at Indian Institute of Public Administration and National Council of Applied Economics and Policy Research at New Delhi. Sir published more than 100 research articles in national and international journals, including Economic and Political Weekly, Food Policy, Food Security, Manufacture and Service Operation Management, Agriculture Economic Research Review, and India Journal of India Agricultural Economics. Sir is a reviewer for international journal like World Development, Food Policy, Food Security, Journal of Decision Sciences, etc. Sir is a columnist for The Tribune, Financial Express, Business Line, The Pioneer, and The Statesman. Sir is a fellow of different professional associations, including ISPRD Kanpur, Frontier Agronomy, Agriculture Economic Research Review, Journal of Food Legume, etc. Sir completed consultancy research project for JPIC, that is Japan Bank for International Cooperation, then THPC, Teon Power Company, then KVIC, Khadi and Village Industries Commission, NIRD PR, that is National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, then NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, then for Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, and erstwhile Planning Commission for Government of India. So without taking too much time for introduction, I request to start the session, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Especially Just Agriculture is doing wonderful work to connect the mentors, or teachers, or professors with the students and other stakeholders in the sector.
Thank you, sir.
I think this my PPT is in video mode. It's moving.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. So I will cover basically the how this policy scenario, because now I am working as a joint director, crop health policy support research. So since last 70 years, India is doing wonderful work in especially in agricultural production. In most of the commodities, we are in surplus situation, and there are many lessons can be learned from this our past experience. There is a green revolution, there is a white revolution, there is a yellow revolution. All sorts of revolutions were there, but still farmers are having some problems. Their incomes are not increasing. The productivity of some of the crops are not increased. the value addition, post-harvest infrastructure is not developed, the agriculture markets are not developed well. So, given this background, I want to go through a historical perspective to understand the present, to plan for future. We have to understand the past. So I will start with the past. What are the past breakthroughs in agriculture sector? How we have overcome some of the problems faced during those periods, and how we have to face some of the problems, existing problems. What will be the future scenario, future situation? So, so my outline for this presentation is evolution of agricultural policies, how the policies, agricultural policies evolved over the years, and reasons for low farm incomes, because still most of the farmers' incomes are very much less when compared to the service sector, when compared to the employees or business sector. So why farmers' incomes are low, and what needs to be done by the government and farmers themselves. Current status of minimum support price implementation, because only one policy instrument across India which is somewhat effective is minimum support price, procurement at minimum support price. So how it is implemented, in which states it is implemented, which crops it is implemented, what is the effectiveness of policy of minimum support price to farmers to increase their farm incomes. So that I will deal. And current status of APMC markets. You all know APMC markets started before independence, 18th century, uh, by the British government, and that legacy is still going on. But what is the status? What is the current status of APMC market? You call mandis. At each block level, we are having mandis. What is their infrastructure? How they are functioning? Whether they are benefiting any to the farmers? This type, how we can reform those APMC markets, and interstate differences in government support. Some governments, some state governments are supporting a lot, like even Punjab, Haryana, some states, and Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. Some states are not able to support farmers in that way. So what are the lacunas in supporting the farmers by the state government? And efficiency of procurement operations in paddy and wheat. No, across India, Food Corporation of India is procuring paddy and wheat. And what is the efficiency? Once in 1980s, Rahul Gandhi, big famous Rahul Gandhi statement is, out of 1 rupee spending on procurement, Food Corporation of India, PDS, public distribution system, ration shops, etc., only 15 rupees or 15 NP, 15 paisa is reaching to the end consumers. That means there is a 85% corruption and many other loopholes or no some lacunas. So 85% is a leakage from the public distribution system, Food Corporation of India during the Rahul Gandhi period when he was the Prime Minister 1980s. But now there is a big improvement, there is a huge improvement. And what is the status now? Only 15 rupees, 15 NP reached to the farmers, to the consumers during that period. Now, what is the status? Bias against other crops. Our all government policies are focused on paddy and wheat. How different pulses, oil seeds, millets, what is happening to these crops? That also we will discuss. Way forward from assured price to assured income schemes. So assured price we are talking about now, Government of India doubling farmers' income, assured incomes. Yeah, so the my first the part is evolution of agricultural policies. So how we can examine the evolution of agricultural policies? So almost you know So if you go back to the even 18th century British periods. So I will start with 100, 200 years back. We'll just go to 200 years back. Our grandparents, how they lived, how they have done agriculture. What are the government policies? What is British government during that period, 18th century, 1830s, 19th century? So 100% of agriculture under petty traders, small farmers. So in those means if 1800 or 1900, almost 95% of the incomes of the rural house, most of them are rural only, no urban. Majority only Delhi, Mumbai, some urban centers were there, but most of that population lives, 95% of the population lived in the rural areas, in the villages, even not big small towns, only villages. They lived in the villages. And what is the agriculture structure? Most of the crops are self-sustainable crops, like millets, pulses, oil seeds. All these crops, each farmer, they may be cultivating some 50 acres, or uh, during that period, large land holdings, 50 acres, even 70 acres, something like that. And their productivity is very less. Their technology levels are very, very less, rudimentary. Plow and cattle, no tractors. And these people use it to know traditional varieties, whatever the traditional millets, pulses, oil seeds, arhar, chickpea, all these things. And whatever they produce, everybody in the family use it to go in the morning and coming in the evening, and they use it to having that bonded labor. Every household use it to have some 30 cattle, and some 10 5 6 bonded laborers, agricultural laborers who can support, and some casual laborers, and mutual exchange of labor. All these things used to be there in that period. And non-agricultural employment in the rural areas, like the mobile shop, the kirana shops, the other biscuits and all these things, almost nothing, no non-agricultural employment, only petty traders. So what they do? They just broadcast the seeds, etc. No much cultivation, and during the harvest period, they weed, hand weeding and manual weeding. There is no fertilizer, there is no pesticides. So very small, very low productive sectors, and whatever they produce, about 80-90% they consume. Whatever they produce, whether it is jute, whether it is food grains, whether it's pulses, oil seeds, anything, or spices, whatever, anything. So they produce 80-90%, they consume themselves, their bonded laborers, their families, and and hair cutting, all these things are like that. So everything is bartering system. So during that period, only village shandies, now also village and weekly mandis, weekly market we are seeing. So during those periods, these weekly markets, traditionally they are there since centuries. So these weekly markets, these farmers used to go and sell, and whatever they are producing in their market, their farm, and they buy some, like you know mm, jaggery. They buy from some cloth, them some wooden type of things, them kitchen utensils, etc. So they go and sell these food grains, and they will buy. And these markets are not only agricultural exchange markets, they're also cultural centers. They go to these weekly markets. They know, they participate in gambling, they participate in all sorts of games, uh, cattle, that shows, all this sort of cultural activities. This these things they use it to participate. So this is called agriculture. So agriculture, commodities, and there is a cultural activity markets. So weekly markets. These so that is the local scenario. Then what happened? India first regulated markets in 1886. What happened in the 18th century or 19th century? When or Europe, what happened in with the industrial revolution? They started constructing this, oil engines, these cotton mills, basically cotton mills. So they established cotton mills in Manchester, London, etc. And they need lot of raw cotton. And where they will get the raw cotton? There is a production. We have to encourage production in all colonies, India, Africa, something like that. So they encouraged cotton cultivation instead of food grains. So this cotton cultivation, the British government encouraged cotton cultivation, and all the cotton they are producing, farmers are producing, they use it to procure in the APMC market. That's why regulated market started in the 1880s through regulated markets. So earlier, what happened? Even though the farmers used it to cultivate cotton, they used it to tell to Khadi industry, sell to Khadi industry, local Khadi industry, Gandhiji's Khadi industry. But with this greater demand for raw cotton in the American Industrial Revolution, what happened? This British government established regulated markets. So these farmers, now onwards, farmers should not sell their cotton to the local Khadi institutions. They have to sell at regulated markets to the government approved regulated markets, so that this cotton will be exported by these commission agents and traders or British agents to UK, to Manchester and London cotton mills. So in turn, they produce, they from the raw cotton they produce cloth, and that cloth is re-exported to India at higher prices. As a result, what is happening? This cloth is very cheap because this mechanized, cheaply they can produce, and this cloth is imported from UK. The cloth is very cheap, and they replace all this domestically Khadi industry. So that is the story of Khadi industry and the cotton mills in British, and how this the machine made clothes replaced Khadi industry during that period. Because of that reason, Mahatma Gandhi introduced Khadi movement. We should not buy the imported machine made clothes. We have to buy handmade Khadi products. So that is the background of the the independent movements. So that is happening, but it's all markets where, because people are very poor, Khadi is a little bit costly, whereas the machine made cloth is cheaper. So most of the consumers use it to population use it to buy this British made or machine made clothes. So that is first registration being butter and cotton and grain market in 1887, and Royal Commission on Agriculture 1928. So then what is happening? There is a huge famines, because people, the low productivity, population is increasing, frequent famines are there. There is no investment in agriculture, there is no investment in technology, something like that. So Royal Commission started in 1928, and again even British government is also, they are not that much rude. So Agriculture Produce Marketing Grading and Marketing Act 1937. So we have to grade and market all these things. 1937, before independence also, Agriculture Produce Marketing Grading and this started. And during that period, some with the with the introduction of the Royal Commission on Agriculture. In the Royal Commission, some Indians also there, so they have done some good exercise. What should be the model agriculture markets, model agricultural farms, etc. The model bill in 1938, they have started model bill, how the each block, each district should have one some 20-30 agriculture market, regulated markets. In these regulated markets, representatives of the farmers should be there, so that farmers cannot be exploited. So that type of rules are. But what happened? 1939. So famine situation. There are Bengal famine in 1943 and Second World War 1939 to 42. Second World War, First World War 1914 to 1918, and Second World War 42 to 45. So 1930s and 40s are having lot of famine type of situation. There is a shortage of food, and there is a ship to mouth type of situation. Ship to mouth, public law 480. During that period, we call this ship to mouth. Every 15 minutes, one ship used to come to India from America. From America, there is excess production of paddy and wheat. So that excess production, every month, every 15 minutes, one ship used to come to India to feed Indian. There is no, there is a famine situation. The production is failing. And 61 to 69, especially, a lot of crop failures are there. And so what is happening? This a ship to mouth situation, and again there is a famine situation. There is a scarcity, prices are increasing, inflation is huge. As a result, Government of India introduced Essential Commodities Act 1955. No private trader or commission agent should stock more than 5 tons in their godams. 5 tons. If you store more than 5 tons, you will be arrested. So that is called Essential Commodities Act 1955. So what happened? 1960s and 70s, active policies. We got independence. There are number of famines. We are in the ship to mouth situation. And during that period, high yielding varieties tested in 1962 and 64. Between 1964, 62 and 64, high yielding varieties were tested in the leadership of Swaminathan, and Subramanyam was the Minister of Agriculture, and Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister. So that is, so they, Swaminathan went to Subramanyam, Minister of Agriculture. Then there are some high yielding varieties available in cement wheat varieties. Rice, and also Borlaug is no is developed some short duration high yielding varieties of paddy and wheat. We have to import those varieties, and we have to test those high yielding varieties in Indian situation. We have imported, released across India in 1965. So so that India situation is ship to mouth. It is a food security is a security, it's a strategic commodity. We should not depend on any other country for our imports. So what is happening? PL 460, what we have mentioned for PL 4060, because India don't have foreign exchange, we don't have dollars. How we can get dollars? If we sell anything in international markets, we'll get dollars. But we are not having anything to sell in international markets. Our agriculture is very rudimentary, subsistence level. There is no industrial growth. There is no service sector. There is no IT sector during that period. So we are not nothing to sell in international market. So we don't have US dollars. When then, so what PL 480 is? So America, keeping the India don't have any US dollars, So America agreed that, okay, we sell these food grains to India in Indian rupees, not in dollars, because you don't have dollars. You buy from America the food grains in Indian rupees only, because Indian RBI is printing the money. So you are printing anyway money. We can buy in Indian rupees, and these rupees, whatever the generated, they used as a food aid or as a aid from Indian, from missionaries and all these things they have started. So that is the situation. So that type of aid, foreign aid, is very dangerous. We should not depend on food security. So the Lal Bahadur Shastri introduced the one slogan. What is that slogan? Jai Kisan slogan started in 1965. Jai Kisan, why? Kisan is very important. Kisan is very important for food security. We have to promote, we have to encourage farmers to produce more. Jai Kisan in 1965, Lal Bahadur Shastri. So uh, that is the background of Jai Kisan. And once we started producing the high yielding varieties, we have started in Punjab and Haryana belt, because they are fertile land. There is a irrigation facility there. Lands are fertile. Farmers are progressive. So we started growing these high yielding varieties, and to grow the farmers to come into, message, community participation is involvement, cooperative participation is important. So National Cooperative Development Act, cooperatives movement started in 1962 to promote the farmers. Now FPOs are coming, farmers producer organizations are coming, farmer producer companies coming. But during that period, government thought cooperative movement is the best way. So they started in the cooperative movement in 1962. And again, so when we are producing lot of food grains in Punjab and Haryana, and the farming situation is in there in the Orissa, Bihar, and Bengal, West Bengal, Orissa, Bihar. These are all the famine states. But the huge production is there in the Punjab. So how we can shift, procure from the farmers, store in different places, and distributed through public distribution system to the Punjab, the West Bengal, Orissa, and Bihar. How we can do that? Private people are not that much capable. That capacity is not there. So they started the Food Corporation of India in 1964. Food Corporation of India in 1964. Why? To establish the godowns and to procure from the Punjab farmers and store in the food grain and the Food Corporation of India godowns, and distribute them through the public distribution system in West Bengal, Orissa, and Bihar, poorer states. So that is called Food Corporation of India Act 1965. So import of high yielding variety seeds, 16,000 tons of high yielding varieties is imported in 1965, and within 2 years, 1967, in Punjab, there is no place to store food grains. Huge productivity gap, 3 times increase in productivity in 3 years. In 1965, 66, and 67, 3 years. So there is no storage place. What they have done? Government of India announced no vacations for the school children. These food grains, excessive food grains, are stored, procured from the farmers and stored in the schools. Then, and because what happened, if we store so much of food grains, prices are reducing in the Punjab. So these traders, what they buy in the Punjab at say 2 rupees, and they want to sell in other states, Uttar Pradesh or Bihar at 12 rupees, like that. 2 rupees purchase, 12 rupees sale. So to avoid that, there is a restriction on interstate trade. So government put no private trader should buy in Punjab at 2 rupees and sell in Uttar Pradesh at 20 rupees. So there is a ban in interstate trade. So whatever the produce, excess produce is there, that is procured by the Food Corporation of India. Now, so once the Food Corporation of India, which is a government body, it procured at 2 rupees, and again they transport, they sell through ration shops at most 3 rupees per kg in West Bengal, Orissa, and Bihar. Instead of 20 rupees by the private people, government purchasing at 2 rupees and selling it through rupees, 3 rupees to the West Bengal and Orissa consumers, poor consumers. So this way, we almost abolished no this famine situation. So what are the institutional infrastructure we have developed? We developed APMC markets. Each block one APMC market is there. Green revolution through the government intervention, import of high yielding varieties from CIMIT, from Rice Research Institute. We established Food Corporation of India. We also established State Trading Corporation of India to import whenever there is a shortage to import food grains. State Trading Corporation of India. We also established Warehousing Corporation of India to store excess food grains in 1960s. So all these are in the government sector. All these are in the government sector. And instead of not only in food grains, we started Operation Flood in 1970, cooperative movement. Again, during those period, 1960s and 70s and 80s, mostly we depend on the cooperative. There is no private sector growth. Only private sector started after 1990s. Even 1990s liberalization, Manmohan Singh and VP Singh Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh is the Finance Minister, liberalization started in 1990s. But 1990s, we have not yet liberalized the agriculture sector. We are slowly liberalized agriculture sector in 2002, especially for milk. In private sector, we allowed milk trading in through private players. We are seeing now so many private companies are heritage, some reliance, this type of milk is coming up in the markets. So this is again once in the 1970s, 80s, we became some surplus in some commodities, some surplus in some commodities. We started Bureau of Indian Standards because once we became surplus in some commodities like spices, some marine, and some basmati rice. So what we have to export? Once we start export, the exporting country, that importing country asks for standards, food safety standards, whether government, whether in the production you are using excessive pesticides or whether you are fertilizers, excessive fertilizers, is there any residue, pesticide residue there? So do you have to maintain standards, quality standards? So to start export in a big way, Government of India is also started Bureau of Indian Standards 1986. So, once uh, this that you must be knowing Jai Kisan started in 1960s with Lal Bahadur Shastri. Before that, Jai Jawan started when there is an Indo-Pak war. Indo-Pak war in 19, I think Indo-Pak war is when it is uh, 1963 or something. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. With this, green revolution, again one technological revolution started during this Vajpayee government. GM crops, BT cotton is introduced in 2002, and it's a very technologically intensive DNA, manipulating DNA and all genetically modified crops. So he added one more, Jai Vignan. Vignan is important for the country. So Jai Jawan, Jai Jawan started during Indo-Pak War. Jawan, security, Indian security. Jai Kisan, food security. Green Revolution, Lal Bahadur Shastri, Jai Vignan started by Vajpayee, to promote green revolution, means GM crops and science-led growth. So, so what happened? So, but these are all the developments. We got yellow green revolution, we got milk revolution, all these things. But no, 1980s up to 2020, what happened? These are all established in the government. Public distribution system is there. We are distributing all the food grains, rice, and wheat to each and every households, poor households, below poverty line households. All these things are going on. But once by up to 50s, 60s, 1960s, 1970s, these are all functioning well. But anything totally controlled by the government, all these government functions, how these, a lot of corruption. Whenever there's a government, a lot of corruption will be there. It's a well-known fact. For example, anything you see the BSNL, BSNL, the telephones, BSNL and MTNL are earlier used to be there 1980s. Only BSNL and MTNL. And you know how they perform. Their performance is very, very poor. 1990s, we liberalized the telephone sector. Cell phones came, very new technology, very innovative technology. Earlier, even prime ministers don't have that type of technology, cell phones, mobile phones, satellite phones, etc. Now, with the liberalization, with the Airtel, with the Reliance Jio, and all these things, we are an ordinary man in a poor village is having cell phone. Earlier, 1930s, even prime ministers don't have the cell phones. So that type of revolution takes place once we liberalize the economy. So not only telephones, earlier only ambassador cars used to be there. Ambassador cars used to be there. Only one ambassador car. Slowly Maruti came. And with the liberalization, the car four-wheeler sector, now we are having 10 brands, different brands, better technology, better oil, consumption, all these things, oils, cars, and the same thing with the two-wheelers. Earlier, only Bajaj two-wheeler is licensed to produce. That's called license Raj. Two-wheelers, Bajaj is the only licensed producer, and the four-wheeler, only ambassador cars are having license. With the we abolished the license law in the 1990s. What happened? 10 uh, two-wheeler companies are there. Hero, Honda, Suzuki, so many things. And cars, we are having Hyundai. We are having so many foreign brands. Cars are there. We liberalized the telephone sector. We are having Samsung. Oh, so many telephone things are there. Telephone companies, Airtel, Jio, all these things are there. Better services are there. We are having even Air India. Air India, only Air India used to be there in the before 1990s. Now with we are having Indigo, FlashJet. Oh, so many things are there. So whenever we liberalize and whenever only government is there, the technology is very poor, their prices are very high, and functioning where APMC market. For example, you take a APMC market, mandis, village mandis, how dirty they are. There are no pigs are roaming. There is no clean food available. There is no overstaying arrangement for the farmers. These all malpractices, commodity traders, commission agents. There is no platforms. There is all sort of things. Once we liberalize agriculture sector, now we are seeing some improvement in the markets. So, but 1980s and 1990s and 2000s, liberalization is very difficult. Why difficult? Why liberalization is difficult in agriculture sector? For example, a few section of the farmers like paddy farmers, wheat farmers, and some traders, paddy and wheat traders, are benefiting hugely from the government through MSP, through fertilizer subsidy. Fertilizer subsidy is 2 lakh crore rupees, which is combined budget of rural development, combined budget of agriculture. Together, they are not crossing 2 lakh crore rupees. But only fertilizer subsidy is 2 lakh crore rupees now. And this, AP. So this, uh, and because these few farmers, Punjab, Haryana farmers, are getting disproportionately higher share of subsidies. Their price, whatever they produce, paddy and wheat, government is guaranteed. Paddy and wheat yields are much higher now. 10, 11 tons per hectare together, paddy and wheat, 11, 12 tons per hectare average. Some farmers may be 15 tons. See, 20 tons per hectare may be getting paddy and wheat together. So that is the high yields are there. Fertilizer subsidy per urea kg, one bag, 2,000 rupees subsidy. Fertilizer subsidies government is giving. So altogether, fertilizer and pesticide subsidy per hectare is going to 20,000, 30,000 subsidies getting by the farmers. So they don't want to forgo this. Once we liberalize, what will happen? All the crops will get equal treatment. All the farmers will get equal treatment. Like, no, there will not be huge subsidies to the paddy and wheat. There will not be minimum support price only for these commodities. There may be some MSP for our pulses, oilseeds, etc. So that's why these huge subsidies are got by this Punjab, that belt of the farmers. They agitate, they resisted the liberalization. So that's why we have, there is agitation, government withdrawn the new farm laws, etc. That is one story. But when there is a agriculture is not liberalized, why the industry is liberalized? Industry is liberalized for a simple reason. For example, two-wheelers, only Bajaj is there. Bajaj is manufacturing. Four-wheeler, only ambassador company is there. So government can invite these two people. Okay, Bajaj people come for meeting. Four-wheeler ambassador, you come for the meeting. Tomorrow onwards, we are liberalizing. Hero Honda can come, Grand i10, whatever, Hyundai can come. All these private companies can come. You should not talk. If you should produce, and you have to obey government order. Only two, three industrialists were there, Tata, Birla, etc. In a closed room, these 10 industrialists, they will call, you have to obey government order. We are liberalizing industry tomorrow onwards. So they don't have anything to say because they have to follow government rules. So they, but farmers is not like that. Farmers are many, they can agitate and they can. So they had agitation. So what happened? So agriculture is not liberalized. So the whatever this Food Corporation of India, PDS system, APMC markets, all are corrupt because only monopoly is there. All are becoming corrupt. Only all the government, no private sector corruption. So high cost of intermediation, retail margin are increasing. There is a leakage in as I mentioned, Rahul Gandhi's famous statement of only 15% is reaching to the end consumers. Huh? Thus, uh, that is the situation in the. That's why up to 1980s to 2022, there is a policy paralysis. But no change, not changing with times in 1990s. APMC markets under state governments, a lot of manipulation is there. Monopolistic power, APMC markets, no private market. Market fees are very high, 10%, 20% of the produce. There is a sales, there is a commission, and stock limits also there, and the suppression of market signal kind of ad hoc. No private storage because if Reliance wants to come in, Adani or Reliance big industrialists come into agricultural markets, they cannot operate in 3 ton, 4 ton type of thing. They want to operate in 4 million ton, 5 million ton, million ton, huge scale they need. So they need to establish huge storage structures. But the government Essential Commodities Act put a limitation. You should not store, any private or public, anybody should not store more than 5 tons per trader. So So Adani, Ambani, or Reliance, they don't come in that's when there is a stock limit situation. So private investment is not coming. So private investment always comes with some new technology, cost reducing technologies, innovations. All these things are not coming to agriculture because there is a stock limit. So that's why. So these are all some of the things. I don't want to go because some may not be knowing, understanding these things. So I want to. So testing waters, what happened from 2003 onwards, when there is a Vajpayee government, they started slowly introducing some modernization. Model APMC Act, Model APMC Act introduced in 2003. What is that model APMC? Whatever there in the uh, new farm laws, what are there in the new farm laws? Direct marketing between farmer and consumer. Private markets will be free. Markets will be free. Agriculture market, all the private player, Reliance, Adani, Ambani, all can come and put their own markets. The stock limits will be removed. So these are all the liberalization, agricultural liberalization. Privates encouraging private sector, contract farming, huh? Electronic trading. All these are all components of the new Model APMC Act. They introduced at national level model. Why we are calling model? Model APMC Act. Model means so it always agriculture is a state subject. Agriculture is a state subject. State can make rules. All APMC markets all are under state government. And but only central government, what the central government can do? Central government could do some model acts so that all the state government, Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Punjab state governments can implement some components of this model APMC. What are the components of the model APMC Act? Private markets will be introduced, farmers markets will be introduced, electronic markets will be introduced, contract farming will be introduced, stock limits will be removed. So this type of some liberalizing type of things which are there in the new farm laws are the components of the model APMC Act. Again, there is a Forward Contract Amendment Act 2006, Warehousing Regulation Act. So, model agriculture. So, time to time, they want to change, they want to improve these laws. Model agriculture produce, and you see, the livestock is nowhere in the government marketing system. So, first time, Model Agriculture Produce and Livestock Marketing Act 2017 is introduced. Electronic National Agri Markets introduced. Model Contract Farming Act is introduced. Model Agriculture Land Lease Markets also introduced. So all these terms of model mark, because agriculture is a state subject, central government cannot take any decision. They can introduce only model acts based on the model paper. We can say model paper. The state governments can implement those model acts. So unfortunately, because all these agricultural reforms are highly politically sensitive because these are all related to farmers' income. Many of the components of the state, these model acts are not introduced because of the fear of political agitations, farmers' agitations. So, but But ultimately, they have introduced the new farm laws during the COVID period in 2020 with the same things. Why they were introduced during the COVID period? That is very interesting. So during the COVID period, all the APMC markets were closed down. Very severe 100% closed down, strict closed down, 1 month. What happened? All the APMC markets were closed down. But still, in the consumers in Delhi, consumers in Mumbai, consumers in big Chandigarh or any other place, these agriculture commodities are coming. Vegetables are coming uninterruptedly, fruits are coming uninterruptedly. So government thought, okay, we closed all the APMC market, but how these the vegetables and fruits are coming to the consumers without any interruption. Then when they examined, they found out that most of the farmers, they collectively marketing these fruits and vegetables through already established linkages market liquid, because already transport facilities are there to travel the milk cooperatives already there. Every day milk is passing from rural areas to urban areas, like that. So they are using the same value chains, same transport mechanisms to transport fruits and vegetables from farmers to the end consumers in the urban metropolitan centers. So it is the right time to encourage private people, private sector, individual farmers, or private farmer producer organizations, or private companies. So because of that reason, during the COVID period, Government of India introduced new farm laws. So the why it is failed? It is failed. Why? What is the context? So the why Government of India introduced the new farm laws? One nation, one market. So market in Chandigarh are should be linked with the market in Delhi, so that in Chandigarh, whatever is produced, that will be sold, that will be purchased by Delhi market people without any interruption. Electronic market, one nation, electronically they can purchase, and they can store anywhere. Warehousing corporations are there, private storage are there, and they can transport to Delhi whenever it is required. Something like barrier free interstate market. So, one nation, one market, barrier free interstate market. So, an entire country should be one market. Market function, always business is a it is business. Any business government cannot do properly. Government, once government is there, always there is a corruption, there is energy, lethargy, inaction, all these things. So the markets are always a private thing, and private participation is important. Business people should be there, and freedom and choice to the farmers. Earlier, only farmers has to sell their produce in the APMC market. With the opening up, farmers will have freedom to sell to the consumers directly to the metro centers, directly to the Reliance Fresh, directly to the Adani, Ambani, any private company they can sell directly. They can sell that. They can put their own stall and they can sell to the end consumers in the big consumer markets. So that is what freedom. Freedom should be there for the. So that is the government opinion. But what are the policy environment, agriculture market, why this problem is coming? The agricultural marketing is a state subject, is in concurrent. Trade is a concurrent subject, agricultural markets is a state subject. That's the problem. The central government has to convince all the state governments, not only one. If they convinced Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana, if they not convinced in Punjab and Haryana belt, there is a problem. And physical market state list, physical all APMC markets are in the state list. Regulated markets is in the state list. Marketing again state list. Retailing like Big Bazaar and more etc. are concurrent list. Concurrence means both state government and central government can do make laws. Trade of food grains are in the central government. So it's a the federal goal. It's a Indian government. It's a federal structure. Federal structure means a central government is there. They have to convince the state government. All the state governments they have to convince not only Telangana, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh, but they have to convince Punjab, Haryana, wherever the states are agitating, they have to convince. So that is one. So I don't want to go into these type of things. And once we liberalize agricultural sector, once we liberalize new farm laws, what are the components of new farm? Electronic trading, uh, private markets, entry of private markets, contract farming, competition among the uh, in the agriculture market. So who will gain? Farmers will gain. Why farmers will gain? Farmers not only in the APMC market with the liberalization, farmers can sell to Reliance Fresh, farmers can sell to Adani, Ambani, anybody. all private. There is a competition between the private players, Adani and Bani and Ambuja, anybody. And with if there is a competition among these people, who will gain benefit? The farmers will get benefit. So there is a competition among the buyers. Buyers will get purchase at higher prices from the farmers. So farmers will get, and consumer will also benefit. Earlier, there is no branding. So with the liberalization of agriculture sector, there is a Reliance race, there is a competition between Reliance, Adani, Ambani, all these private companies, so ITC, etc. So what will happen if there is a competition? There is a quality improvement, there is a cost reduction. Any company, any mobile phones or cars, etc. There is a competition between different players. What is happening? Different private companies. The technology is improved, costs are reducing, customer service is improving, consumer satisfaction is increasing. So that same thing will happening. And who will be gaining? Large corporate houses will be gaining. The Adani can set up lot of warehouses across India. They can manage cold chains across India. They can monopolize. That problem is also there. And who will be the loser? Now, if you go and see the any APMC market, there are some 50 traders, there are 50 commission agents, there are 50 commission agents, huh? And so they're all paying. So there are some these people, their livelihood will be in danger. Small petty traders, their livelihood will be difficult, and they will be out of the market, out of the business, because large players will play the game. State lose revenue. For example, Punjab state government, they are losing, they are gaining every year because of the paddy and wheat procuring and selling to FC, Food Corporation of India. They are getting 6,000 crores every year. That revenue will be lost. APMC market committees, APMC market committee, any Monday block, block level APMC market committees, we call Monday. There are committee, there is some committee chairman, market committee chairman, members. These are all the political centers. They lot of money, whatever the sales, market fee, etc. They collect. They are not spending on market improvement. They are only spending on their own purposes. So that way they will lose their, So I think 1 hour is over. Anything, any doubts, etc. Please, is it okay?
Dear participant,
Hello.
unmute yourselves and ask your query to sirs.
Yeah, can I, sharing? I can remove share. Okay. So now I think we can, because it's a very interesting subject. You may be having a lot of questions and doubts. So we can spend another even 30 minutes on question and answers.
Dear participant, you can unmute
Ravi
yourself.
Prakash, you unmute yourself and ask. Ravi Prakash. Dharmendra Malik. Unmute yourself.
You can unmute yourself.
You can also type in, questions here, message. message box. Any other one? So one question, how to improve the rural economy in Ladakh region? That message is there. Of course, Ladakh is a very remotest place. Probably there is not much scope for this, conventional agriculture like paddy, wheat, etc. They may be having specialized commodities, even livestock based wool, Ladakh, wool based or specialized uh, a livestock based economy and you can also Ladakh products like handlooms, because rural economy Ladakh is having some specialized handlooms, specialized traditional indigenous commodities or some artisan type of products, uh, and also nowadays even tourism also, these areas having lot of scope uh, in Ladakh. But basically they have to have some linkages with the mainland through improving their train network or road networks to the mainland. That is very very important. And market development or export potential, Ladakh pashmina and all goat, sheep, wool, that type of where the market is there, export brand, GIS, geographic indicators, promote some 2, 3, or 5 commodities with GIS marcation or identification, so that you can promote your own brand in international markets as well as in in India main market. That scope is there, but in improve this livestock based products. There are some improved varieties available, even for milk, even for meat. There are in ICR developed a lot of varieties of milk based milk or milk animals or woolen and produce, and also meat produce. Those type of intervention, technological interventions are required in Ladakh. Any question, broad question, we can you can ask, not only related to the. Are you able to understand the basic concepts which I told? It's okay, free. You can freely exchange ideas.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Anil Kumar sir. Okay.
Yeah. Sir,
Ah,
thanks for giving very informative and very elaborative lecture, sir.
ah.
Starting from before independence to 21, 2021, sir.
Okay.
Sir, very good. Sir,
Ah,
thank you, sir. A very happy new year, sir.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
You should be more participative, na? It's a very interesting field. That's why I told like a story, so that you can get some interest.
Sir, I too being a agriculture economics,
Uh-huh.
just have to say the future of agriculture reforms in India is uncertain. But the
Uh,
reforms have potential to make agriculture sector more competitive and efficient. And
uh,
if these reforms are implemented successfully, then they will benefit a farmer, consumer, and Indian economy as a whole.
Okay, okay. That's true. That's true. Yes.
I think questions are over from the participants, sir.
Okay, okay,
Okay. Thank you so much, sir,
okay.
for enlightening our participants and providing your expertise with us. And we are privileged to have you today at our session. And thank you for taking your time from your busy schedule and providing support to our participants.
Okay, huh? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Right.